Hello, this is Dr. Ted D'Amico. This video is the second of 3 videos that deals explicitly with the Consumer Insights and Charting program. In this video, we will discuss the 5 PowerPoint reports that are produced by the program and show you the specific questions and issues addressed in each report. The Consumer Insights and Charting program produces 5 PowerPoint reports. It produces a brand interaction report, a brand differentiation report, a top 10 report, a brand strength and weakness report, and a demographic report. Each report can be purchased separately, and each can be customized to meet a client's aesthetic preferences and analytical needs. Following are examples of each of these 5 PowerPoint reports. The first report that I will discuss is the brand interaction report. In this report, as well as the other 4 reports that I will discuss, 18 brands were analyzed, and the target brand was brand number 7. Every PowerPoint report produced by the Consumer Insights and Charting program has a table of contents that immediately follows the title page. The table of contents lists all the information that is contained within a given report. To make this information quickly accessible, each item in the table of contents is hyperlinked to a page that contains that information. Additionally, when you click on the hyperlink to go to a specific page, you can click on an arrow, which will return you to the table of contents. The table of contents also has 2 hyperlink pages, which enable you to quickly find out the meaning of a specific media, marketing, or statistical term used in the reports generated by the Charting and Insights program. As I will show you shortly, each term is defined in the context of the analyses that were performed. Let's now briefly look at the structure of a brand interaction report and the questions that are addressed by this report. Every page in every report has a similar structure. On the top of the page, there is a title, which enables you to quickly see the topic area that will be covered in the current PowerPoint slide. On the left side of the slide, there is a question followed by an answer with key numeric information listed in parentheses. To the right of the question and answer, there is a chart, which answers the question on the left visually. In this particular slide, the question is, which brands in the widgets category have the highest incidence levels? The answer lists the top 10 brands, and next to each brand in parentheses, it tells you the incidence level and the audience size in thousands. At the bottom of the page is an arrow, which when clicked will take you back to the table of contents. The next slide in a brand interaction report provides you with share data for the top 10 brands in the category. Other slides in the brand interaction report deal with the average number of different brands used by each brand's user group, brand loyalty rates, the competing brands used most often by target brand users, the competing brand user groups that are most likely to also use the target brand, the duplication index between the target brand and each competing brand, the target brand's opportunity indices with respect to each competing brand, and the target brand's vulnerabilities indices with respect to each competing brand. The last pages of all 5 PowerPoint reports contain a series of definitions, with each definition being defined in the context of the analyses that were performed. To illustrate, let's look at the definition of composition of vertical percent, which is in column D. Let me read it to you. When referring to the base, which in this case is adults 18 plus, composition is defined as the percent the segment represents of the base after the data are weighted to the population. For example, in the current analysis, the measure male accounted for 48.4% of the total weighted base. The number was derived by dividing the weighted count for the measure, which is 112,047,000, by the total weighted count for the base, which in this case was 231,485,000. Now let's look at a brand differentiation report, which is the second report generated by the Consumer Insights and Charting program. As I mentioned previously, in all reports that I will discuss, 18 brands were included in the analysis, and brand 7 was selected as the target brand. As is the case for all reports that are produced by the Consumer Insights and Charting program, a hyperlinked table of contents immediately follows the title page. In this table, there is a listing of all the comparisons that were performed by the program. Each comparison that was performed was between the target brand and a competing brand. Since the maximum number of brands in a given analysis is 23, the maximum number of comparisons that appear in the table of contents of a differentiation report is also 23. The structure used in a brand interaction report is identical for every comparison. At the top of the page, it tells you the brand against which the target brand is being compared. In this case, it is brand number 1. Then there is a question which states, what are the top 10 measures that best predict whether the target brand or the competing brand is used? The question is then followed by an answer. The answer tells you that across all the measures in the analysis, which there can be up to 4,500 measures in a given analysis, what are the top 10 measures that best discriminate between target brand users and users of a competing brand? In parentheses next to each measure, the composition estimates for both the target and competing brands are provided. To the right of the answer is a chart, which shows you the amount of variance explained by each of these top 10 measures. Now let's take a look at a top 10 report. In this report, the top 10 measures across all the measures in the analysis are provided for the target with respect to the following media metrics: audience and composition, index and coverage, incidence index, the ability to predict brand usage, audience incidence ranks, and index composition ranks. A top 10 report also provides the target brand's top 10 measures for these same media metrics by category. For example, it will provide a top 10 list with regard to demographic measures, buying style measures, and a top 10 list for up to 28 additional categories. Now let's take a look at some of the slides that are contained in a top 10 report. Here we have a slide that shows you the top 10 measures in terms of audience and composition. Here's a slide that shows you the top 10 measures in terms of index and coverage. Here you have a slide that shows you the top 10 measures in terms of incidence index. Here you have a slide that shows you the top 10 best predictors of brand usage. Here you have a slide that shows you the top 10 audience and incidence ranks. And here you have a slide that shows you the top 10 index and composition ranks. These same slides are also repeated for each of the categories included in the analysis, and again, there can be up to 30 different categories analyzed in a top 10 report. Now let's take a look at the fourth report produced by the Consumer Insights and Charting program, which is a strength and weakness report. In a strength and weakness report, the target's top 10 strengths and the target's top 10 weaknesses are shown versus each competing brand in the analysis. Each strength analysis has the following structure. The type of analysis is shown on the top along with the brand that is being compared to the target brand. In this case, we are looking at a brand strength analysis and the target brand is being compared to brand number 1. The question which appears on the top left of the slide reads, based on compositional differences, what are the target brand's top 10 strengths versus the competing brand? The answer that follows shows the target brand's top 10 strengths across all the measures in the analysis and shows next to each measure the compositional estimates for the target and competing brands and the statistical significance of the difference. On the right is a chart which shows the compositional difference between the target and competing brands. Each weakness analysis has a structure identical to each strength analysis. The type of analysis is shown on top along with the brand that is being compared to the target brand. The question, which appears on the top left of the slide, reads, based on compositional differences, what are the target brand's top 10 weaknesses versus the competing brand? The answer that follows shows the target brand's top 10 weaknesses across all the measures in the analysis and shows next to each measure the compositional estimates for the target and competing brands and the statistical significance of the difference. As is the case for each strength analysis slide, on the right side is a chart which shows the compositional difference between the target and competing brands. The last PowerPoint report produced by the Consumer Insights and Charting Program is a demographic report. In a given demographic report, charts for up to 40 demographic measures are provided. For each demographic measure, the program generates 7 charts showing the top measures with respect to audience and composition, coverage and incidence index, the ability to predict brand usage, audience incidence rankings, and index composition rankings. Now let's take a look at these 7 charts as it relates to the age of respondents. Here is a chart that provides audience and composition estimates for each of the age groups. There's a chart that shows the coverage estimates for each of the age groups. Another chart shows the index for each age group. This chart shows the incidence index estimates for each age group. This chart shows you how well each age group predicts brand usage. As you can see, none of them predict it well, accounting in all cases 0% of variance. This is a chart that shows the audience incidence ranks by age group. So in this particular case, brand number 7, which was the target brand, ranked 6th among the 18 brands analyzed with regard to its incidence or coverage of the 25 to 34 age segment. And here we have a chart that shows index composition ranks by age group, and in this particular case, brand 7 ranked 9th among the 18 brands measured with regards to its index among the 25 to 34 age group.